Well, good morning, and Happy New Year, which is coming up real fast here. Many of you were on the cruise, suffering on the cruise while I spoke last October, and what I spoke about was what you see up on the board here. This is a ministry that God led me to start as a result of a missions trip that I had with Rocky Peak Church. We're in Peru, and a number of things happened there. And my entire life as an adult Christian man was turned 180 degrees. And as of that day, as of that hour, that moment that my life was changed, I have been doing this ministry full time. And this is presentation, what we call presentation number 2. But as I mentioned last time, I'm only just touching the very top of the things that God has led me into in the last 10 years. And the ministry that I am working under is called Ministry Encourager. And this morning what I would like to do is just show you 3 of the continents that I work on, which is India, South America, and Africa. And when I say I work there, what I do is I go out and I identify individuals who are serving the Lord in some capacity. And being as I am not sponsored by a church, I'm not sponsored by a mission agency, I'm working on my own, completely. Me, you're looking at the whole package deal right here. New Year's morning, I'm going to jump on a 747 of British Air, and I'm heading straight to New Delhi. And when I get to New Delhi, I'm going to turn around, catch a connecting flight immediately, and fly all the way up to Kashmir, where it's way below freezing right now up there and snowing and everything else. And I'm purposely going there because of the uniqueness of Ministry Encourager. I want to see people, a particular group of people, which I'll speak about in just a minute, but I want to see these people in their most miserable element. And you know, this morning I'm sitting there and I'm getting all choked up as Dave is leading in that the songs this morning, because what an incredible blessing we have in this country to be able to sing such beautiful, soft, touching songs that touch our heart. And we're all singing together, and we're singing as loud as we want. And when you walk by the sanctuary, these beautiful Christian songs are blasting out of there, and you can just kind of float through the parking lot. And what a blessing. Where I'm going in Kashmir, it's almost 100% Muslim, and it is freezing, and it's dark, and I get to go to a place like that because I have selected to go there. I purposely am going there. It's been a burden on my heart for over a year now. And I'm going to get to that in just a minute. Let me just tell you some of the things and some of the people that I'm involved with here. First of all, we're going to go to the country or the continent of India. This is India. Now, India, like the United States, is made up of a bunch of states. There's 26 or 28 states in India. The one in red there is the state of Punjab, where I will be going also after I go to Kashmir. And Punjab is like the San Joaquin Valley, like up through Bakersfield and all that. It is the breadbasket of India. That's where all of the biggest Indians of all live in Punjab. The royal guards for the politicians and all that come from Punjab. They are the biggest people. And it's a rather prosperous area. But when I was there, I was asked to go there a few years ago with a gentleman who has a ministry there. And I was asked to go to just observe how his ministry is operating. And while I was there, if I could get some kind of low profile photographs and video of what he is doing, because it's a Sikh country. And he is there to share the gospel. His ministry shares the gospel. So I was observing that. Anyway, that being said, we're ready to leave. We'd spent our week and a half there, and we're about half an hour until our car came, and this woman walks into the house that we were in. And I said, and I introduced myself and vice versa, and I said, what do you do? So she says, I asked her if she's part of the ministry here. She says, no. And she says, I just felt called by God to bring children to rescue orphans. I says, oh, so what church or what missions group are you with? She says, nothing. She says, I'm doing this on my own. I says, just you and your husband here? She says, no, I feel called by God to do this. I feel called by God to dedicate my life to rescuing orphans in India. Well, we've all heard this about people doing this in India because rescuing orphans is something that is so necessary there. But she's small time. And so I was immediately attracted to her because I'm small time, she's small time, and this is the type of people that God for the last, since 2002, when my life has turned around, this is the type of people that God leads me to meet. Just in crazy incidents like this. Here we're all ready to leave the country, and she comes walking in. So she told me that she rescues children. She lives off of donations from the neighbors and people around town. Excuse me. I couldn't even talk last night. I've been sick for a few days. Anyway, so I was immediately attracted to the ministry that she personally feels called to do. And so I came back, I came home, went back about 2 months later with my video camera and stuff like that, and I spent time with her in the house that she is renting to be with the kids. And then she took me around through all the villages of Punjab there and out into the fields, and she introduced me to different people in the villages, showed me the children, the tremendous number of children that need to be rescued and have some sort of a home to live in, some sort of a home to live in. These are the girls that she has now. Today she has about 13 girls that she has rescued and brought in like that, and she has identified people like me. And what I like to do is I like to go right into with somebody like her, see what her environment is, and immediately say, Lord, what can I do to make this person more effective in their ministry for you, Lord? And so immediately I saw that nobody knew about this woman. She's working completely on her own. So we went out and immediately I bought her a computer and a printer, a digital camera, a little desk, and a chair. Now she's all set to communicate to the world. From her little tiny rented house, she can now communicate with the world. And nobody will know where she is or anything about her or the size of your organization. So working with the girls and all of that, we also turned around and started to invest and save some money and built this house, this orphanage, right in the middle of, you can see it's like in an alfalfa field. It's an 8,000 square foot lot, and the house is 3,500 square feet. They're living in it today. This young woman took this project, and she is so motivated, she's so geared, and she is so careful in her actions and her mannerisms in the community that people contributed to this house that she built. We started in, I think it was late January, and September of this year, what is that, 7 months later, it was all done. And you're looking at it here. I'm going to be there this time next week. I'll be in this house, staying with them, and it's already going. And the thing that she wants to do now is to buy the lot right next to it and build another one. This woman just keeps moving like that, and sometimes you see certain people in life that just seem to have the ability to just keep moving. We're all struggling to do our little things, and some people just keep moving like that. But if you were with this young woman, the amazing thing about her is you just see everything that she does, she just puts right before the Lord. And she says, Jeff, I'm not going to worry about it. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. The Lord knows we're in prayer about this. The Lord knows we're rescuing children. We're saving them. We've got these little Sikh children who are now Christian children, and the girls that she has, they put on plays and they sing and they do musicals. She has completely transformed their little lives. This is an example of a young lady who didn't get rescued when she was a young orphan. And this is what happens to many of the girls in the local villages around there. This young girl, and I asked specifically about her, and I asked the people who are there with us, we're in their little village there, and her job is to feed everybody, and you can see she was making some chai tea. The first thing that happens when you come into a village or a house in India is they give you a glass of tea. And there's always somebody around who's designated to do this. And that was this young girl's job. So this young girl, this would be pretty much her life. Hopefully she'll get married, but this would be pretty much her life. This I wanted to just throw in real quick just to show you, because I'm talking about something, and we're in the warmth of this beautiful carpeted, well-lit room. And everything is clean, and our bathrooms are clean, and there's a men's and a women's bathroom and all that kind of stuff, and life is good in America. This is a church that you might be disgusted when you take a look at. But I will promise you this. I will promise you this. If any one of you or a couple of you or a few of us were to travel with me and we go over there and you get into the environment and you sit in these little chairs or benches in these dirt villages, and then it starts to get late in the afternoon and they say, well, can we do a church service this evening? And they'll put a church service. So you're in the environment. You've been taken out of the American environment and now you're put into the Indian environment. And all of a sudden this church doesn't look that bad because everything around you is not like this. Everything around you is this kind of condition. But once you get inside this church with no pretty paints, no lights, no luxuries, and all you've got to focus on is what we're doing, the music that we're singing. And I will promise you that if we sang the songs that Mac was leading us in this morning, you'll be sitting there and you look around and there's nothing that you have to protect your emotions from. And 90% of the time, I'm breaking out crying. And anybody that's with me, any Americans, are breaking out crying when we're singing. And they're singing in Punjabi, and we're singing in English, because it is such an overwhelming feeling of simplicity and just worshiping the Lord when you're in a little church like this. I've got to move kind of fast because I'm going to take you on 3 continents. New Year's morning, this is where I'm heading. This is right on the top of the Indian continent. This is the country or the state of Kashmir. Kashmir is a battle zone. It's an ongoing battle zone. If you just Google Kashmir right now, you'll see that 50% of the Indian army, in other words, the army that fills all of the continent of India, 50% of it is jammed into this one small area. There's constant gunfights and battles up there because to your left or to the west of this little red area is Pakistan. Islamabad is right across from the city where I'm going. And to the other side is Tibet. And both of these are in combat or in conflict with Kashmir because Kashmir doesn't want either one of those places, either the Pakistanis or the Tibetans, to take over their country. And they also don't want the Indians to take over Kashmir. They want to be independent. So there is constant ongoing conflict going on there, and it is a very dark place to go. They dress dark, they act dark. It's going to be freezing and snowing when I get there, and it's just the way I want it. I want it about as bad as you can possibly get it, and this is the place. The reason I am going there, there's a man there who runs this particular school. It's called the William Carey School. He is an Indian, and he's a Christian, speaks beautiful English, and he is allowed to teach Muslim children Christian principles. Yeah. You don't realize it until you get into the country. Then what you will see is you will see almost a black and white difference between a child that's been taught in Islam through the Quran and a child that has been taught with biblical principles. There is a huge difference because what do we teach in the Bible? We teach joy and love, and we teach forgiveness. And these children are not being taught that in this whole state of Kashmir, in the whole Muslim community, in all of Pakistan right next door to it. So there's a unique difference, and he can get away with it because he is one man and one wife, he and his wife and their 2 children. And I'm going to be going, we're going to get a little bit more involved as we talk about Ministry Encourager supporting him more in as he's moved to a new school. But anyway, from there, once we work with that, we are going to, he's going to take me over to a location that I was at a year ago that has troubled my heart ever since, and we put together just a real quick little video on this. just a quick little something that we put together from, I was so impacted when I was in this leper colony. And I'm purposely not going to show you any photographs of the leper colony for a number of reasons. Number one, it's a Muslim leper colony. There's a mosque right inside of it. I can say that it was the most despicable, embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for other human beings that they would allow these people to have to live like this. And Greg here is videotaping me. And if you were to look at go in YouTube online and type in Ministry Encourager, the name of my ministry, and then go down to presentation number 1, what you'll see, if you're watching presentation number 1, which runs for about 40 minutes, you will see some places where I'm talking, and then I'm blurbed out. The reason for that is because if I say something negative about about Muslims, okay? And I'm not going to now. If I say something negative about them, it will go around the world before I can get off this parking lot if we were to post it immediately. Now, Greg may post this particular video in next week or something, but as a result of that, we're real careful about anything that we say because it could jeopardize the safety of people that we are working with in these countries. So if I say that there's a Christian teacher doing something and he just hates Muslims or something like that, well, that's going to go around, trust me, it'll go around on the WWW just like that. And this man in this William Carey school that I showed you, you didn't notice, but all the windows are broken in that school because there was a pastor in Florida who wasn't as careful as I'm being, and he threatened to burn the Quran, if you remember that a summer or so ago. Well, so you're all saying, well, what a terrible guy to threaten to, why do you want to shake up the world like that? Well, what you don't realize is my friend back there in Kashmir, they went to his school. When they saw the news of this guy, they went to his school, broke all the windows out in a mob trying to get him out of there, and they were going to pull he and his wife out and beat them to death on the grass in front of the school. Okay? Just like that. Because you dared to insult our faith, Muhammad. And so you just can't do that in this day and age. You have to be very sensitive to the people that you're working with. And God has led me to work with these people, and we have such a wonderful time sharing Christ together. So I'm sensitive to them. So the things that I'm saying and the things that took place in this leper colony, I'll give you a better report sometime in 2013 when I get back and we actually start to do something there. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I've got this habit of just standing there and saying, Lord, I'm not going to let the snow fall on me. I'm going to stand right here until you reveal to me what it is that we could possibly do to bless these people's lives. I kind of want to be the, when Scripture talks about be the light and be the light and so the people can see the good works that you're doing so they can give glory to God. Well, if they see somebody and they're doing something great in this leper colony, they're going to know right up front that I'm a Christian. I'm from the U.S. and I'm in there doing it, and I have no other intention other than making your life better, somehow helping you, whether it's telling you about telling you about Christ or one thing or the other. But they know who I am right up front, so it's not like I'm trying to cover something up. Let me jump now over to the continent of Africa, and the red area here is the country of Uganda, and in Uganda, a number of years ago, I was there, and it was another thing. It was a goofy deal I was mentioning last time. I just felt called by God to go there. I was working with a team from San Diego in Ethiopia, and they all took off and flew back, and I just felt called, and I said, Lord, I'm not sure why, but I took and I flew by myself over to Uganda, and I just stood in the airport until something happened. I got my bag and my carry-on, and I just stood in the airport when I landed there. I'm not going to move, Lord, and so I just stood right there, and everybody left. All the friends came and took them away because there was only one airplane that day, and so I just stood there, and finally some guy tapped me on the shoulder. One thing led to another, and these kind of divine appointments is what I allow myself to get myself caught up in, which is kind of a neat opportunity. So one thing led to another, and I wound up meeting this guy who's standing between my daughter and I there in an airport. And he said, Jeff, why are you here? And I said, I don't know. He says, well, who are you going to meet? And I said, the Lord just told me to come here. He says, okay, so you have no reservations. And I go, nope. And I'm just waiting for it to be revealed to me. He says, perfect. He says, tomorrow morning you will come with me, and we are going to go all the way to the north where they've had a war for 23 years. So that was the start of our relationship. He and I started a microfinance together. I happened to pick up a book by Muhammad Yunus, who started the whole micro enterprise, a microfinance project where he would give a woman in India $20 and say, you pay me that money back now, but I will loan it to you, and see how it changed her life. And we had as many as 450 people that we wound up giving money to, and we had to constantly have meetings like this and tell people. Now this meeting was under a tree that you can see. That could even serve as a church in Uganda, out in the bush, because we were way up in the north. And I'd prefer to work up there as opposed to the city, because the people have a different situation. And every time I'd go over there, many times during the year, the first thing we'd do is we'd sit down and we'd balance all of our books out and make sure that the money that I'd been sending there was the same as the money that they were giving out, and the people were paying the loans back. And so that was an ongoing process. This is a church, and in this church, we would present, just like you people are sitting here, I'd say, okay, here's the deal. You fill out a business form. Show me what business you have. Everybody has their own type of skills and abilities. And whatever you can do, if it's sewing, if it's something with musical instruments, if it's farming, whatever it is, if you know how to take care of cows good. And we bought cows and goats and all that stuff too. So we would present our proposal to them and say, we are willing to give you money. Nobody else in Uganda will give the poor people money. As a result, they're poor year after year, decade after decade, just breaking big stones into smaller stones for 30 cents a day. And all of a sudden, I show up there and I'll say, I'll give you $300, but you've got to pay it back. Tell me what you're going to do with your $300. And I'm telling you, as I stand here before God, that 100% of our loans got paid back. These people are so sincere because we're giving them an opportunity. They realize that they will never get the rest of their life. In Uganda, if you go to a bank and you say, I would like to take out a $300 loan, they'll say, show me what collateral you have, so if you don't pay it, we can take that away from you. If you use your cow as collateral, okay, fine. You don't pay your loan, we're going to take that cow back from you. So people, of course, they wouldn't want to do something like a loan, because if they get sick or something, they've lost everything. I'm saying, I'm willing to take a chance. They knew that I was a Christian, and I was from the U.S., and I'm willing to take a chance. I will give you the money. If you get sick, I'll understand if you can't pay it back. And I was wide open about that right up front. I will understand if something happens. I'm willing to take the chance. God has led me to this position. I'm making it available to you. So, like I said, 100% of them got paid back. And these people are living in round mud huts on the ground. And they not only paid the loan back, but they started businesses. And the first thing the government did, they said, well, we noticed that you've got all these people coming to your different places and meeting, so you have to start a bank. So they had us start this little bank, and we made the banners up and built the wooden cabinets and all that stuff. And this is an example. Now this woman here, she took a loan out, I don't know how many hundreds of dollars, and that's what she bought. She bought some wooden, like 2x4s, and she built these cabinets, and then she bought paper, reams of paper, and she's right on the main boulevard, and the people would stop in there, they'd buy the paper they needed. And at certain times of the year when all the school starts and the kids load up their backpacks, this particular woman was ahead of schedule in paying her loan back. Excuse me. This woman here, it's obvious what business she said. She's good in talking with people. So we helped her rent this location, and she bought parts for cell phones, covers and cables and all of that kind of stuff. Did very well. This looks like nothing, but what this is, this woman's name is Eveline, and her ability was to cook. And right behind me, when I'm taking this photograph, there's about 30 guys standing there watching me, because when we showed up with our van, and right behind me is these guys who are sitting around, and they're waiting for a cell phone call, because it's a trucking distribution place. So once I left, and they all came back, and this is this woman's restaurant. And as they're waiting around for their truck calls, she's in there cooking fish and goat and all that kind of stuff. And she did very well. She was making sometimes $30 a day, she said. We also built a pharmacy. The spelling's not too good, but that was corrected. It's the first thing I noticed when I got there. I said, Pastor Francis, I said, that spelling's something's not right about that. But so we had a pharmacy, and we were selling wholesale malaria medicine. Because the guy that you saw me with under the airplane wing, his son died in 3 days. His 18-year-old son died in 3 days of malaria. So that was an opening, and God said, okay, Jeff, let's go ahead and let's put a wholesale pharmacy excuse me, in the town. This is the most successful type of a business that somebody can do. This woman, we gave her, I think it's about $150. She went out and she bought all of this type of stuff. This little packages of soap, candies, cookies, bottles of water, and things like that. She's right on the dirt roads. By being on the dirt roads, though, people are going by on motorcycles and bicycles, and they stop, and she goes through her inventory within a couple days, and then she restocks it again. And this is a situation where somebody, when they make the money back from their loans, they turn around and they pay us back 100% of the loan. If I give you $200, they pay back the $200, and we say, well, good job, and you want to take a bigger loan out? And they go, yeah. Okay, here's $400. You can see what it does to the people of the community when this is available. The biggest problem that we had is it was just pretty much just ministry encourager doing this, and we just didn't have enough money for all of these people. This is my daughter, and she's videotaping me inside. This is a farmer. This farmer wanted us to come. This is the first harvest, and this man had been growing corn and all the things that everybody else grows, and as a result of that, the competition was terrible. I always tell people, I says, do something in business where you don't have competition. A little something I brought from California. Our business, we try not to have any competition. It works pretty good, obviously. And so he said, well, I need about $400 to buy a particular type of seed. And the bags that you see me with in there, those bags are a particular, that's the product, that's his harvest. That's his first harvest ever. And it's a little tiny seed that when you grind it up really fine, there's a tremendous demand for it. When you grind it up really fine, it turns into an oil so fine that it's actually, down in the capital of Kampala, it's actually used for aviation type lubricants. And so obviously the people there don't have this type of thing. It's a very sought after type of a seed. So this is just an example of when you give a person, a farmer, the opportunity to take the next step up and buy something really high quality, they can do it. Okay, now we're going to jump across the ocean. We're going to go over to the country of Peru. This is all the different districts in the country of Peru. The red area that you see there is the area that I felt led to. Now, my life was changed with a team from Rocky Peak in Lima, Peru. Lima, Peru is right on the Pacific Ocean. It's a harbor town. And Lima, Peru is as big as Los Angeles. It's 9.5 million people. And people think, well, Peru is just a little tiny, a bunch of natives running around and stuff. No, Lima, Peru is a huge, monstrous city. And it's also a beautiful city. And if you want to know anything, just ask Mary back there. She enjoyed everything in the city, but she didn't go swimming with us because she knew too much about what's in the water. So Huánuco, excuse me, Huánuco is a mile-high city, and I found a husband and wife team there. I searched the internet because one of the other things that really bothers me, just like in India, it bothers me when kids have had their childhoods taken away from them, okay? So I work by myself, so if I've got an attitude about people who steal children's childhoods, I can get involved in some things that maybe are not pleasant for churches to think about. But there's some ugly things going on with children in this world. And so I went there, and somebody took me on he said, Jeff, first thing I have to do is I have to show you a problem up in the Peruvian Andes. So we're up in the Peruvian Andes, and we traveled for a while, and this is the kind of situation that you run into. You see the guardrails aren't real good and all that stuff there, and some of the bridges and tunnels are leave a lot to be desired. This is when it's good. Wait till you see it when it's snowing or when there's a huge downpour and a lot of landslides up there. If you ever Google vehicle accidents in Peru, you'll see there's just page after page of these buses going off these edges because the travel conditions up there. And this is a typical small Peruvian city up at high altitude. The man I was traveling with is the pastor in the white shirt there, and the other man is a pastor in this small city, and he has 20 children in his little orphanage that he's got there. And this is the church that he has. As you notice on the church, the women of the church have knitted these little pads that they donate to the church, and so you don't have to sit in the hard wooden benches all the time. This is where the kids eat every day, and we ate some really interesting meals there, things that you wouldn't know. There's no preservatives because the power's out most of the time up there. So everything that you're eating is fresh. It's right out of the fields, which is a little unusual for an American to eat things 100% fresh. I mean, you just didn't have a choice. The milk, as many of you are familiar with, the milk, you got to take your finger and drag across the top because it develops a skin on the top of it because it's so fresh. As soon as the air hits the milk, it skins over. So now I wanted to just show you some of these kids. These kids are just beautiful up there. Dirty little faces. One of the reasons that they're dirty is because it's too cold to bathe. And they have layers and layers of clothing on. And I just absolutely loved them up there. But these children are Quechua children. Quechua, across the Peruvian Andes at high altitude, you very often see the women walking with their llamas down the hill, and the women have the flat Peruvian hats on in the skirts that flare out like this, and usually in their flat hats, they've got a flower sticking out of it. These are Quechua, high altitude people. And that's what these children are. They're the children of the Quechua people. This is Jim and Tony. Now, Jim and Tony are from Delta, Colorado area. And I found them on the internet. That just a little blurb about them. There's some key words that my computer happened to focus in. I said, who is this? A couple from Delta, Colorado, working up with kids from up in the Peruvian Andes. And they just felt called by God to do something. They weren't quite sure what. That's what attracted me to them. They weren't quite sure what the Lord wanted them to do. And I'm going, okay, so far so good. I can relate to that. And so they went there, and long story short, they got involved with children who have run away, children who have been given away, children who had been abused and had to run as fast as they could. But they started setting up homes where they have a husband and wife, or maybe just a grandmother who is willing to watch a house full of children. This particular woman, this is Lucila now. She's the longest house mother that they have. She runs a house all by herself. And these are some of the children that she's got in her house. Just absolutely beautiful children. The whole thing about these children that you're not seeing is that their little lives were so messed up. I would be embarrassed to tell you some of the things, physical, emotional, sexual violence that has happened to these children. All of them have a story that would break your heart. And I will tell you this little boy that you see here, this is baby Johnny. One of the girls that you just saw on the slides, and I'm not going to go back, one of the girls you just saw on the slides is Johnny's mother. Okay? During the 8th year of her life, she carried baby Johnny. She is now fine and healthy. And baby Johnny just, I think December 11th, celebrated his 5th birthday. And they actually took the baby from the girl with a C-section because obviously her little body was too small to pass the baby through. But he's healthy and just as cute as a bug now. And my friends Jim and Tony have raised him. And he's got a wonderful future ahead of him. And he has been raised 100% by a Christian family. And when you see him, and when you see these little girls, when they've had the influence of Christians in their lives for the last however many years, and then you see them compared to the children in the cities, we're talking a day and night difference. I think if you people saw the transformation from a child, from a Quechua child to a Christian child, I think people of America would be so much more involved in doing something to help out kids around the world. We were able to buy 47 acres. This is our hope and our dream, that one day this can be developed with houses that we own and put, because the government is always asking, they're saying, we have kids, we have hundreds of kids, can you take them? Please, can you take them? And Jim says, you know, because we've actually started a nonprofit 501c3 in Colorado. So we have a board of directors in Colorado now, and we've started, there's a board of directors in Peru also, so that if something goes haywire in the government and they get somebody who wants to take over all of the property, they can't take it away from us. So because we've got an American, we're on the board in Peru and here in the States, so the potential for developing this property is tremendous, but we're not promoters. That's so unfortunately the property that's the way it looks today. My wife goes with me sometimes, but this is the only option that I have to do with my wife. She says, yes, I'll come with you. The kids are great, and all that construction's great, Jeff, and oh, you're doing good stuff. Do they have any animals? They got to have animals. So I met some people actually in the Amazon jungle, a husband and wife team there from North Carolina, and the husband is a big motorcycle rider and all this stuff, and so anyway, I'd go down there, we'd have a great time together. But his wife is crazy about monkeys. So once I told my wife, who sits back here, she now flies, in November she was just there, she flies all the way down to Lima by herself, because I don't want to go hang around these things. I mean, they put their tail around your neck and they pick, they got these long, these are howler monkeys. They have long black mouths that come out, and in the quiet of the jungle, these are the monkeys that go, ooh, 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 ooh. You can hear this all over the jungle. And so they sit on your shoulder and do this, but they're always picking at you and doing stuff, and oh, they're disgusting. And anyway, Linda loves them. And she actually, when she takes a nap or sleeps, the monkeys get right in bed with them. And go, yeah, I know, go figure. So anyway, we're out of time now, so I wanted to stop it there. I've left some papers on your, some little bit of information on your table. If you have any questions about Ministry Encourager, the places that we go, or if you know some people in some of these countries, sometimes you will know people who are working alone or are underfunded, underrecognized, and things like that. I would be happy in my travels to contact them and see if I can put them in touch with somebody for whatever it's worth. I have no idea what it's worth, but I am convinced, I am absolutely convinced, as you all sit here now, if you happen to know somebody there, I am convinced that God's saying, okay, Jeff, just keep talking, at least make them aware that He will put us in touch with each other. The people that I have come to meet, and I've got, of these people here, I've probably got about 50 more people of these incredible stories where God has just said, okay, Jeff, you need to be right here. Okay, the door closes. Now you're trapped in there with this guy. Introduce yourself to him. And then we start something really wonderful. And that's just the way it goes. It's one of the advantages that an individual like myself has as opposed to traveling with a team. With a team, like the team, and there's nothing the matter with a team. They do great things, but when you travel by yourself, you can get yourself in situations where people feel a little more comfortable communicating with just one person and then traveling from maybe going over the Himalayas or something like that with just one person that you could not possibly do with a team. So God has blessed me with that ability, and I thank you all for putting up with some of these things, but this is what I do during the whole course of the year, and I'm leaving, like I said, New Year's Day, and heading right over to India to meet some of these people for the first time ever, get involved in their ministry and be able to spend some time with them and just see what our God wants me to do with those people in a very intense and hostile Muslim country. So that's it. Thank you.